They walk into the room with a smile that could melt steel. Their voice, soft, measured, pleasant, echoes like grace itself. To the world, they're generous, polite, admirable. People nod when they speak. They are praised, followed, trusted. But you know the version of them that the world will never see. Behind closed doors the air changes, their tone sharpens, their eyes turn cold. The charm disappears like it was never there. And you begin to wonder, how can someone be so adored outside, yet so devastating behind the scenes? The answer isn't simple, it's psychological, it's intentional, because cruelty behind curtains is never an accident, it's a performance. And you've been forced to play a role in their private theatre for far too long. But today, we pull the curtain back. The two faced performance while they act so kind in public, but turn cold in private. They are the masters of illusion. In public, they glide through conversations like seasoned actors, their smiles timed to perfection, their tone dipped in sweetness. You watch them hold doors open for strangers, offer compliments like confetti, laugh at jokes that aren't even funny, because the performance matters more than the truth. It's not about kindness, it's about control. They don't want to be good, they want to look good. Every gesture in public is a calculated move in a well-rehearsed script, designed to keep the spotlight on their goodness, while the shadows of their private behavior remain hidden. Behind that polished exterior is someone who watches the world like a chessboard, positioning people and moments to serve one purpose: protect their image. At home, that mask falls. The same voice that once praised you now picks you apart, piece by piece, until you question your worth. The hands that once applauded others in public now point fingers in private. And you start to feel like you're living with two different people, because you are. One is the showman, the people pleaser, the hero. The other is the judge, the critic, the punisher. You've seen the switch happen so fast it leaves you breathless, wondering if anyone would ever believe you. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Their kindness in public is not the evidence of a good heart. It's a strategic disguise. It's how they build allies, gain sympathy, and avoid suspicion. People outside your world only see what they're allowed to see, a curated version of reality. And when you try to explain the cruelty that happens behind closed doors, they look at you like you are the one who's confused. That's how deep the performance runs. It's not just for strangers. It's for your friends, your family, your support system. It's meant to isolate you, to make you doubt your own story, to keep you quiet. They know exactly how to charm the world while draining the light out of you in private. It's not a contradiction, it's their method. Their public niceness isn't accidental, it's armor, it's protection. It keeps people on their side while you're left feeling voiceless, unseen, and slowly erased. But once you start recognizing the pattern, you begin to take back your power. You stop being shocked by the switch. You stop explaining yourself. You stop carrying the burden of their performance, because the moment you realize their kindness was never about love, it was about manipulation, you stop mourning the version of them that never really existed. And in that clarity you find your strength, not by confronting their mask, but by refusing to wear yours any longer. The power of appearance is why their public image matters more than you. They don't fear being wrong. They fear being seen as wrong. That's the core of it. Their obsession with appearances is not vanity, it's survival. Every word they speak in public, every act of kindness they offer, is a brick in the fortress they're building around their reputation. To them, public image isn't just important, it's sacred. Because if the world believes they're good, generous, admirable, then no one will ever question what happens behind the curtain. They move through life like they're on a stage, directing how others should perceive them. And they are meticulous about it. From the way they dress to the tone they use in front of others, everything is curated. The louder they praise others publicly, the more vicious their silence can become privately. They hand out compliments, donations, favors, but only when there's an audience. When no one is looking, those same hands that once offered help now slam doors shut, leaving you alone in the echo of their hypocrisy. You begin to see how desperately they protect their image, while completely disregarding the truth of how they treat people closest to them. It's not accidental, it's not unconscious. They need the public to adore them, because deep down, they know their private behavior could never withstand scrutiny. That's why when you try to speak your truth, they don't just dismiss it, they attack it. They'll paint you as the unstable one, the overly sensitive one, the bitter one, because if they can discredit you, they can preserve the story they've built about themselves. The world sees the version of them that they've spent years constructing, and the moment you threaten that, they go into damage control. They'll deny, deflect, and even cry in front of others just to keep the mask from slipping. Their public persona becomes a weapon, not just a shield, and you're caught in the trap. If you speak up, you risk losing the support of people who only know their stage version. If you stay silent, you let their illusion thrive while your spirit slowly fades. But here's the breakthrough. Their need for a perfect image is exactly what makes them fragile. The truth threatens them more than anything. Your clarity, your voice, your courage to see through their performance. It's what they fear the most. Because once someone stops believing the illusion, the whole act starts to crumble, and they know it. They can fool a room, a community, even an entire family, but they can't fool someone who has seen both faces. Eventually, appearances collapse under the weight of truth, so let them keep polishing their mask. You don't need to fight it. You just need to walk away from the theater and leave them to perform for an audience that no longer includes you. Private spaces, real faces where the truth finally comes out, when the last guest leaves and the door clicks shut. Something changes. The air gets heavier. The smile disappears like it was never real. That warmth in their voice cools to an unsettling silence or cuts into sharp, surgical words. This is the moment when the mask comes off, when the world isn't watching and they no longer have to pretend. Private spaces are their true stage, not public ones, because it's behind closed doors that their real face is revealed. Not the charming, graceful version everyone else admires, but the version that only you know. Cold, calculated, and eerily composed. There's no applause in this space, no audience to impress, just you, and the performance that was never meant for the public. You see, the cruelty doesn't come from rage. It doesn't come from a place of passion or emotion. It comes from control. They're not lashing out. They're designing each word, each gesture, to remind you that you are beneath them in this quiet kingdom they've created behind the walls. And the most chilling part, they're calm, they're in control, they don't lose themselves, they find themselves in private. This is the version of them that feels most real. Their kindness in public may feel rehearsed, but this is instinct. You've watched them shift from soft to severe in seconds, like flicking a switch, and at first you blame yourself. You must have said something wrong, maybe they're tired, maybe you misunderstood. But over time, a pattern forms. Public admiration, private dismissal, public praise, private silence, public laughter, private belittling, until it becomes impossible to ignore. The public version of them was never for you. It was for everyone else. Their real self, the one you experience when the world goes quiet, is the one they've been hiding from everyone, and that realization hurts more than the words they throw in your direction. Because it makes you question your own instincts. You start to wonder how someone can split their soul so cleanly, smiling in the light while draining you in the dark. But the truth is, they're not broken. They're not confused. They're strategic. They know how to turn it on and when to turn it off. The people who only see their light can't imagine the shadows, and that's the point. They want you to stay confused, to feel alone in your knowledge of who they really are. But when you finally accept that the private version is the truth, not the exception, you begin to reclaim your clarity. You stop defending their public charm. You stop waiting for the kindness you saw outside to show up in your home. You start recognizing the cruelty, not as a flaw, but as a choice. And in that moment of clarity, something inside you shifts. You stop making excuses. You stop hoping they'll return to who they are in public, because now you know that version never really existed. The real face was always the one they kept hidden until the doors closed. Your silence is their weapon, how they use your loyalty against you. They don't just count on your silence. They thrive on it. It's not your voice they fear most. It's your ability to expose what happens when no one else is looking. That's why they work so hard to keep you quiet. They're not scared of confrontation. They're scared of reputation loss. And the easiest way to guard their carefully built image is to make sure you doubt your own truth. They'll twist your words so you hesitate to speak. They'll mock your pain in private and then play the saint in public, leaving you torn between what you feel and what you see. They're not satisfied with control. They want quiet submission. Your silence becomes their tool, your confusion becomes their protection, and your loyalty, that's their favorite disguise, because they know you won't go running into the streets to ruin their name. They know you're thoughtful, measured, that you care about consequences. They know you'll think twice, and that's all they need to keep their facade untouched, so they exploit your empathy. They make you feel guilty for reacting. They turn their mistreatment into a puzzle, one that you keep trying to solve. Because surely there's something you missed, right? No, you didn't miss anything. You were made to doubt everything, and that's the trick. They don't need to silence a crowd. They just need to silence you, one person, one story, one witness, because if they can keep you from speaking, the performance remains flawless. They weaponize every kind thing they've ever done for you, making you feel indebted, as if their cruelty is something you somehow deserve in exchange. But it's not. It never was. Your silence is not peace. It's pressure. It's the invisible rope that keeps their mask in place, and the more you stay quiet, the more they win. The truth is, they fear exposure more than they fear being wrong, because being wrong can be forgiven, but being seen as cruel, that ruins the entire act, and so they build their kingdom with your silence as its foundation. Every time you don't speak up, they grow bolder. Every time you minimize the pain, they take it as permission. Every time you protect their image, they feel invincible. But the day you stop apologizing for their behavior, the day you speak your truth without needing a crowd, that's the day their power begins to fall. Because real power never needs silence to survive. If someone demands your silence to maintain their goodness, that goodness was never real. You weren't imagining things. You weren't overreacting. You were conditioned to believe that truth should be hidden to protect the very person who was hurting you, but not anymore. Your voice is not a threat, it's a light, and the moment you use it, the illusion begins to crack. Let them fear it. Let them scramble, because silence is no longer your prison, it's theirs. The performance ends with you stop playing their script. There comes a moment, quiet, unglamorous, but powerful, when you simply stop, not because you've run out of love or hope or chances, but because something inside you finally wakes up. You realize the show they've been putting on, the script you've been forced to follow, the unspoken rule that you must keep smiling while they switch masks at will. It ends the moment you walk off the stage. You've played every part, the loyal one, the forgiving one, the understanding one. And while they've dazzled the outside world with charm and praise, they've turned your private world into a place of second guessing, tension, and quiet pain. But now something inside you sees through it. You see that their cruelty wasn't a lapse. Their coldness wasn't just a phase. Their kindness in public wasn't love. It was a performance, and you were never the audience. You were just the backstage crew, making sure the spotlight never slipped. But now, you step away, you stop explaining their behavior to others, you stop cleaning up the emotional mess they create behind the scenes. You stop hoping the good version of them will return because now you know that version only exists when it serves them, not you. You stop pretending they didn't mean it. You stop rewriting the script to give them a softer ending. Because the truth is, they don't want healing. They want silence. They don't want honesty. They want control. And their greatest fear is that you will no longer play your role. Because once you step out of their theater, the illusion starts to collapse. When you stop nodding along to their rehearsed lines, the mask begins to slip. And when you stop covering for their coldness, the audience they've kept fooled begins to ask questions. That's the power you've always had, and they've always known it. That's why they tried to make you small, to keep you unsure, to keep you spinning in doubt. But you're not confused anymore. You're clear. You're not angry. You're awake. And when you're awake, you no longer play the part of the protector. You become the truth teller even if your voice shakes, because their act only survives if you keep pretending. But you're done pretending. You don't owe them another monologue. You don't owe them a happy ending. What you owe is to yourself, to walk away without applause, without validation, without needing anyone to understand but you. That is how their performance ends, not in dramatic confrontation, not in public exposure, but in the quiet refusal to participate, in the strength to walk off their stage, even if they keep acting like the hero. Because once you leave, their show has no substance left to stand on. And in that silence, your silence, they are finally left alone with the truth they spent so long trying to hide.